Hey guys, in this video we'll analyze my 8 favorite queen sacs. Here there are classical examples but also more modern, spectacular combinations. Keep watching. This is the first example. Bronstein was white, Geller was black in 1961. If you want, you can pause the video in all the examples. I think it's going to be a very good exercise. I'm going to say the move Geller played here, and it is this surprising queen g6. And the idea here is that he wants to threaten checkmate here on g7. So black doesn't have too many options at this point. They have to capture, but then there is checkmate anyway. White can play here rook takes pawn, and king goes either to f8 or h8. Then white captures the pawn on g6. Example number 2. Janowsky is playing white, Samisch is playing black in 1925. At this point, white has a pawn up, but they still have the king in the center, so the position is still a little unclear. Black is trading some pieces. However, white is very active. I mean, the bishops are very well over here. Also, the queen is very aggressive looking at the king side, and the rook is very well, ready to create more problems over here. At this point, white is playing the move queen h6, threatening checkmate here on g7, also threatening checkmate here on h7. If black takes the queen here, there is checkmate with rook g3. That's what happened in the game. But we want to analyze some defensive idea for black here. There are not too many options. Probably f6 is the only move. And this is also going to be winning for white anyway. There are many ways to win. I think a pretty good way to win is by playing bishop h7, extracting the king towards the center of the board, and then using the rooks to win the game when the king is over there. So like queen takes pawn here, we can trade bishops and then give a check, and then we are winning when we use the other rook, like rook d1. Example number 3. Levitzky is playing as white, Marshall is playing as black. This is a very famous position. Some people say the move Marshall is going to play here is the most spectacular move ever. Some others say this move is the most amazing queen sacrifice in chess history. I'm not going to get into that too much now in the video, but if you want in the comments we can interact a little about that. Well, in this position black has a knight up, and it seems like they are fine, they have material up, but there are some problems. For example, white is threatening the rook, which cannot be captured by now because there is a fork, but at some point if there is a check or something, the rook could be hanging. Also, white is threatening black queen, and there is this idea of rook c7 threatening checkmate also over there. So it seems like black should be winning, but they still need to play very accurately. At this point, Marshall is going to play the move queen g3, and this is going to solve all the problems black has in the position. After queen g3, black is threatening checkmate over here, they are threatening knight f3 over here. Now white cannot capture the rook. They are also trading queens on g5. Okay, all those things are perfect, but I mean the queen is hanging, right? So white can capture it with 3 different pieces. So let's see what happens if white takes. If they take with the pawn, there is checkmate in 1. Knight e2 is just winning the game. If they take with the f pawn, checkmate in 2. Knight e2 check first, and then rook takes f1. And finally, if they take with the queen, which is probably one of the best moves white can play here, because then they are not like losing more material. What is going to happen is that the position is going to be simplified and black will win more or less easily in the endgame. So here black can play knight e2 check, knight takes queen. This pawn cannot capture because there is a pin, and this pawn should not capture because there is another pin with mate over here. So white needs to play king g1, and here black can play either knight takes rook or knight e2 check, and either way they will have a very nice position with a piece up in the endgame. So like knight e2, then this is a piece up, all the problems are gone, and this position should be more or less easy to win as black. Example number 4. Rati is playing white, Tartakower is playing black in 1910. In this position black has a piece up, but they have a small problem with the king a little exposed. The queen and the rook, they are both connected over there, and there is a small combination here to give checkmate in 3 moves. The first move, queen d8. This is an attraction. We are attracting the king to the open file where we will have a double check afterwards with the move bishop g5. And this is just winning the game. Here, black can play either king c7 or king e8, but there is checkmate after both options. King c7, bishop d8, that's checkmate. King e8, rook d8, this is also checkmate. This is opera mate, a typical mating pattern, you know, with rook and the bishop, the pawn blocking over here. By the way, if you want more information about typical mating patterns, those are positions that happen very often, and if you understand them, it's going to be really helpful. You can check this video, it should be over there somewhere, and you can have a lot of information there about positions you really need to know to win more games. Game number 5, this is one of my favorites. Here, Tyrant Petrosian is white, Pashman is playing as black. The move Petrosian is going to play here is really special. He's playing queen takes bishop, king takes queen, but notice this is not a typical queen sacrifice. Now he's sacrificing the queen, but now he doesn't have mate. He's playing here bishop e5. The idea is to extract the king outside. We're going to see more examples in this list where something like this is going to happen. The king comes to g5 in the game, and then there is a very special move here, and it is this bishop g7. The idea is that we want to make sure the king cannot come back to some safe field. So bishop g7, we make sure the king stays out there, and then that would be mate because we have knight, rook, bishop, also the other bishop, and also these pawns, creating problems over there, and actually black is completely lost. In the game, black just resigned at this point, but just to show you a line, if black plays here e5, trying to defend a little with the pawn, also with the bishop, then this could continue with h4, and the idea is that when the king moves, then we can use the bishop. For example, bishop f3, and then bishop takes bishop. This is checkmate. And here we have Krasenkow white, Nakamura black in 2007. In this position, white has just captured a piece here on f6. They are attacking the queen on b6. They are attacking the rook on c6. So it seems like black is in big trouble at this point. However, Naka had already calculated some things. So he's going to play here the move queen takes f2. And the idea here is that he wants to extract the king outside. After king takes f2, he can play bishop c5 check. And, well, in the game the king goes up, but if the king goes down, black can just play here c3, discovered with the bishop, and in the end they are going to get the advantage. For example, after rook e2, black can play here c2. This is a nice fork, deflecting the queen. So after queen takes e2, bishop takes rook on e2, the king has to go here, bishop d3, discovered again. So in the end, he's getting a very big advantage with this line. So for example, king here, bishop takes, rook takes bishop, and well, a rook up is going to be enough for Nakamura to win this game. So bishop c5, and we don't analyze king f1. Then in the game, Krasenkow is going to play king f3, going up with the king. Of course, this is a big problem because now the king is very exposed. Even when he has the queen up, there are too many minor pieces over there. So we have like 2 rooks, 3 minor pieces, and also, you know, some pawns over there. So white is actually in trouble here. The game continues. Rook takes bishop, and then bringing more pieces to the attack. Knight e5. He is playing here king g5, and then we have rook g6 check. The king comes to h5, and here there is a very subtle move, one of my favorites in this game, f6. The idea is that we make sure the king is in a mating net. We are threatening now rook h6 with checkmate. Rook takes e5, not a big deal. Rook takes e5, then king h4, another slow move in the middle of a storm, and it is this bishop c8. We make sure the king is not escaping over here, so we are threatening checkmate over h6. After g4, okay, the king is escaping over here, but black has this move. Bishop, we need to say that actually Krasenkow resigned here, but after g4, bishop check, and checkmate here with rook h6. Position number 7, Aliasin white, Supio black. Here the world champion has a very clear advantage. He has like a piece up for a couple of pawns, but also black pieces are in very passive positions over there. And on the other side, white pieces are extremely active. When we analyze, every of them are in very active positions, except the rook on f1. So in this position, Aliasin is going to play a beautiful move, and it is this queen g6, again sacrificing the queen in front of 2 pawns, but the 2 captures are going to end up with checkmate. For example, pawn takes queen, we have rook here check, and after pawn takes queen we have knight takes first, and then rook here check, checkmate. So after this queen g6, black is completely lost, because white is threatening checkmate here on g7. For example, a defensive move here could be rook g8, but then checkmate in 2 moves anyway. Queen takes pawn and rook h3. By the way, another typical mating pattern here. This is Anastasia's mate. Ivanchuk is white, Karjakin is black in 2008. This is my favorite queen sacrifice in this list. In this position, Ivanchuk is going to play something completely amazing, completely surprising. This is my favorite queen sacrifice because in the previous ones, almost always there was like checkmate in 3 moves or checkmate in 4, or things more or less forced, or even when it was not like checkmate, it was very clear that the king was exposed and there would be like some kind of advantage very soon. But this time is completely different. This time Ivanchuk is going to sacrifice the queen on e6. So he's playing queen takes pawn, and after pawn takes queen, knight takes pawn, he has just sacrificed the queen for 2 pawns. I have read that this queen sacrifice on e6 was not something he found during the game. This should have been a study, something he had analyzed before. Karjakin got into the position and then he's playing the move queen takes pawn and then a knight takes pawn. Let's understand what is going on here. He's attacking the queen, he's attacking g7, he has like a knight, 2 bishops and 2 rooks, creating threats on black king because he could be playing rook here very soon. Also this knight could be creating some ideas. It's in a very good position. So that's the situation. He just sacrificed the queen for 2 pawns, but he has a lot of activity. He's threatening more things, and let's see what happens. In the game, Karjakin is playing queen e5, and the game continues then with knight takes pawn on g7. The king comes to f8, there is another check, and the king comes to f7. Then rook h e1. As you can see, the king is very exposed now, so there might be a discovered very soon. And after queen takes rook on e1, knight takes bishop on c5, and king comes to g6. Ivanchuk is taking the queen on e1, king takes bishop, and knight takes bishop on b7. After all these trades, as you can see, he has a bishop and 3 pawns against a rook, which is very well for white. He has the advantage right now, a decisive advantage, and he's going to win the game after this interesting, spectacular combination. We need to say the move queen takes e6 is not really winning the game. There is defense playing very accurately. Unfortunately, Karjakin couldn't find the right moves during the game. He couldn't react. It's really hard to find the defensive moves in positions like this. But it seems like after knight takes, bishop d6, giving the queen back and getting into this position, black could be more or less fine, and the game should probably be a draw. The question for today: which is your favorite queen sack in this list? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next.